This conference will now be recorded.
What is the command to create a directory? mkdir and the directory name. Okay, just take the directory name as project. I'm just taking the directory name as project. So, what is the command to list the files and directories? I want long list. Space hyphen l. Okay. I want to create a file. What is the command to create? Okay. To add a content in a file, I just want to add one line content. Let's see. Here I have one file. I want to copy this file to inside this project. Okay. I want to copy this file. So if you want to copy the file, we are using command as cp copy and specify your file. If your file is available inside your current directory, just specify the file name. Okay. If your file is available inside your current directory, then directly you can specify your file name. In case your file is located in some other directories, then just specify the complete path, complete location of that file. And after that, specify the destination where you want to copy. I want to copy to inside this project. Okay, let's hit ls. Do we have that file? Right. Let's view the same file inside the project. Do we have the same file? Right. We have the same file inside the project. This time, I want to copy this directory. I want to copy this directory to this project. So to copy the directory, along with the CP, you want to specify -r. Just remember, not only this, with this CP, for copying the directory from one location to another location to the network protocols also, we want to specify the -r recursively. Then only it's copy these directories. Specify your directory. If it is in the current location, directly you can specify the name of that directory. Or if it is in the remote location, sorry, it means if it is in the some other directory, then you should specify the complete path of that directory and the destination. Just go with the project. We have the two. We have the two, right? Okay. Let me create another directory this time. File.pdf. I just created this file. This time, I want to move this file to inside this project. Okay. I want to move this file to inside this project. To move, we are using command called mv file.pdf. This is my file. Okay. Where you want to move? Where is your destination? My destination is project. Just hit ls. Do we have that PDF? No, we don't have. Just view inside this project. Do we have that PDF inside that project? We have, right? Let's say this time I want to move this dir to inside this project. Okay, I want to move this dir to inside this project. The same command we are using, move. But this time, while specifying the destination, what I did, I specified some wrong destination. Let's say in the place of this project, I just specified the project one. You have that project one is existed in the directory. No, we don't have the project one, but I specified it. Let's see what will happen. Change the name of the directory. Okay, while copying the, not only for the directories, for the files also same. While moving the files or the directory from one location to another location, Okay, specify the proper destination. Here my destination is the project, but unfortunately I specified project 1. What it will happen? It's renamed the directory. It's renamed the directory, right? So for the move, we can use the MV. For the rename also, we can use the MV. Move and rename both MV.
If both DIR and project one have data,
Sorry.
if both DIR and project one have data,
See, this DIR is replaced with the project 1. It is renamed with the project 1. If you have any data also, it will just rename this directory. Nothing will happen inside that data. Okay.
in case if both have data also,
What data?
any files or any,
Yeah, nothing will have inside that data. Nothing will happen for that data. It will just rename that. Let me create some files inside that project 1. So DIR. Okay, I'm just creating some 10 directories inside this. Sorry. So we have the 10 directories inside this, right? This time what I'm doing, I'm trying to moving this project 1 to inside this project. Okay, but while moving this project 1, unfortunately I specified some wrong destination. Project 2. See, is it renamed project 1 as a project 2? But verify the data inside you have project 2. You have the same data. Nothing will happen inside the data. It will just rename that directory. Okay. So MV project 2, and where is your destination? Project is my destination. Just hit enter. Is it moved? Right? It's moved. In this way you can rename and move the files and directories from one location to another location. Remember that thing when you are using the MV command, destination should be existed first. Whatever the destination you are providing, that destination must be existed in the system. Otherwise it will rename that file or directory whatever you are trying to move. Yeah, same. Let me create one file.
Sai, I have one question. The text file we can convert into PDF?
No, how you can convert that into PDF?
Can,
That is just a name.
no, I'm just asking.
No, that is just a name.
Wow.
Let me add some data. What is after F? Let's say I have some data inside that file. I have the file. Inside this file, I have some data. I have somewhere around 200 lines or the 10 lines I have. Okay. Actually, this is not a good file. Let me do one thing. Okay, let's see. Here I have one file. This is one configuration file. The first configuration file created in your system is the Anaconda configuration file to building your system. Okay. Inside this file, as of now, just remember Vim is an editor. We'll discuss it later. Inside this file, I have some data. I have somewhere around 200 or 150 lines. Okay. I just want to count the number of lines inside that file. To count the lines, we are using wc space -l. WC means word count. When you specify the -l, it will count the lines and specify your file. How many lines do you have? 243. This time, I want to count the words inside that file. In that case, we are using WC in the place of L, specify the W words and the file name 659. Total, how many lines do you have? 659. This time, I want to find the characters inside this file. How many characters do you have?
6
Something 6006K, right? Okay. I have one requirement. My requirement is very simple. So I want to get the output of this file. How many lines we have, how many words we have, how many characters we have. I want to get this output. Whatever the output I am getting, I want to store that output into another file. Do you got it? I want to take the line count, word count, character count from this file. So whatever the output I am getting, that I want to store in another file. Okay. So to get the word count, lines, words, characters, everything, in that case we are using only WC. So if you use the WC, it will give you. So when I hit the enter, WC and the file name, it will display that output on my terminal, right? But I don't want to display the output on my terminal. I want to store this output into a file. In that case, okay, you can use the redirection sign. Redirection sign and specify your file name. So as of now, this file is not existed in my system. Let's see this. File.txt I'm trying to create. That file is not existed in my current directory. Okay, that file is not existed. But when I specify the redirect and the file name, it will create the new file. Okay, just hit enter. Just hit ls. So it's created the file.txt, right? It's created the file. View the content with the cat. Have that output, right? We have that output. The same way, we have another file also there, original case. So in this file, I have somewhere around, see just, and one more thing, with help of WC, you can able to see the number of lines. With help of W, you can able to see words. With help of I1C, you can able to see the characters. But when you hit the WC, it will display the output in this format. Then how we can read this? So the very first one is the number of lines. Number of lines which you have inside this file. And the second one is number of words which you have inside that file. And the third one is number of characters. Okay. First one is number of lines and the second one is number of words and the third one is number of characters. So that is the reason we use this WC-L, W and C. Directly if you hit the WC, even we cannot understand what is this output. So the same as in this file also, I have somewhere around 239 lines and 636 words and some 6k of characters. This output also, whatever the output I am getting from this file, I want to store this output into file. The same file, the file is existed, right? I want to store in the same file, file.txt. If I use the single greater than sign, it will overwrite that file, right? And how we can store the data? With help of double greater than sign. Okay, then without touching the existing data, it will add the new content inside that file. Just specify the file name. Add file.txt. See, you have the both content here, right? You have the both files content redirected into one file. Okay, this is how. And remember one more thing, As of now, we are creating the directories, we are creating the files, right? We are using different commands. Where this data will be stored in the system? The files which you are creating, where that files are stored? The commands you are using, where that commands are stored in your system?
slash edition.
Slash. See, if you go with your Windows, all your system information will be stored inside your C drive, right? Your Windows operating system information will be stored inside the C drive in different directories, right? The same as in your Linux operating system, we have the file system hierarchy. File system hierarchy. Okay, inside that file system hierarchy, we have some different type of directories. These all are the directories we have inside this file system hierarchy. Each directory stores different information. It will not store the same information. On the top directory is the slash directory. This one also you can call it as root directory as well. Whatever the file and the directory you are creating, everything will be stored under this slash. Suppose here you are using the home directory. This is the root user home directory, right? This information will be stored inside the root user home directory. And your root user home directory also will be stored inside these directories. Okay, under this slash. Every data will be stored under this slash. Just try to understand this. Sorry. Create, move, delete. We already done. Organize the files from the bash shell. Okay. Okay, see. The file system hierarchy. Describe the Linux file system hierarchy concept. Describe how Linux organizes their files and the purpose of the various directories in the file system hierarchy. So each directory having some specifications. Each directory is existed some purpose. The Linux system stores all the files. The Linux system stores all the files on file systems, which are organized into a single inventory tree known as file system hierarchy. Okay, single inventory that you can call as file system hierarchy. This hierarchy is an introvert tree because the tree root is at the top. So the directory which you are seeing here, that is the top directory. You can call this directory as a slash directory, and also you can call it as root directory as well on the top. And the branches of the directories and the subdirectories stretch below the root. The directories which you having inside the root. So this is the slash directory, right? This you can also call it as root. Let's say the very first one is the bin directory. What this bin directory contains? As of now, we used some quantity of commands, right? We used different commands. We used the ls, mkdir, cp, mv, rwc. We used different commands. Those all commands, whatever the commands user is using, that all commands will be stored inside this bin directory. Okay, that all commands will be stored inside this bin directory. So how it will store? Let's come here. So ls-ld bin will store inside this bin directory. How it will store? Let's say I want to see the mkdir command, where that command is storing. Okay, if you see the any information about the command, use which and your command. Which is a command, it will give you the path of that command. This is the command mkdir. Where this command is stored? This command is stored inside this bin. Bin is a binary directory. Bin means binary. So all the commands which you are passing in your terminal is a binary files. As a user in the text user interface, this is a command, but as a system this is one executable file. When you pass this command in your terminal, your system will execute this executable file in background. Okay, just go with the complete path of this. Okay, okay, this is one executable file. When user pass this command, your system will trigger this file in the background. This is how you are getting the outputs of the commands. Not only mkdir, any command will work in the same flow. Okay, let's try to open this file. See, this entire file is encrypted. We cannot see the data with the editors. Okay, this is one binary file. The same as you have the second directory is the boot. See, this boot directory stores the necessary file to boot your system. When you turn on the power button until you get the user prompt, some process will happen in between that time, right? In your system. Your system is starting something, your system is shutdowning something, it is doing something, right? That time, whatever the task your system is doing, whatever the things your system is doing, that time we can call it as a booting process. We'll discuss that in the booting process. So all the necessary files to boot your system that will keep inside this boot directory. And this dev directory will store your all your device information. All your device information will store inside this dev directory, whether it is your hard disk information, okay, your keyboard information, or your terminal information, because your terminal also one physical device. Everything will be stored inside this dev directory, etc, and also you can call that etc. This etc directory will store all the configuration files of the system. All the system configuration files it will store inside this etc directory. Okay, if you install any package also, by default that will install inside this etc, that will store the files inside this etc. Now, home. See, we have the two different type of users, is it? One is the root and the second one is non-root. Root is the privileged user and the rest of the users are non-privileged users. If we want, we can provide, that's later. Non-privileged users, all the normal users home directories will be stored inside this home directory. Let's say here I have one user, the user is Vagrant. So when I hit the pwd, now where I am in the home directory. So this is the home directory for the Vagrant user, right? Where this Vagrant user home directory stored inside this slash home. Root. Root is a root user home directory. All your normal user home directories will be stored inside this home. But when it comes to the root user home directory will be stored in root. Okay. See, there are this one also we can call it as the root. There is a difference between these root and these root. Okay. If you are calling the root directory, that is the top directory on the file system hierarchy. For calling the root directory, that is the top directory on the file system hierarchy. So the entire system information will be stored under that root directory. But while you are referring the root user home directory, that is slash root. Remember that. Okay. So this directory, the difference is the file. If the file, any file you created inside this root directory slash directory, that file will be accessible by the all the users in the system. Any user can able to access based on the privileges. But if you created the file inside this root directory, root user home directory, only root user can able to access. Okay, only root user can able to access and run. This run directory will store all your system runtime information. Once you started your system until you shut down your system, it will collect some different logs from your system. or it will collect some different type of data. That all data will be stored inside this run directory. But whatever the data it is storing inside this run directory, that is not persistent data. It means after the reboot, the entire data is waved off from this directory. Again, it starts storing the new data. Okay, and as well. See, to up and running your system, in the back end, your system executing some commands. Okay, to run some processors or to run some services, your system executing some commands. Those all binary files, those all executable files, your system executable files will be stored inside this SBin. SBin will keep the all the system executable files. Those are not using by the user. Okay, those all are using by your system. And the temp is a temporary directory. Let's say you created one file. Okay, you created one file inside this temp, but you are no longer user that file. After 30 days or after 10 days, automatically this file is removed from that location. Okay, this temp will see, and USR, all your application information will be stored inside this USR. Let's say you install one web server package. Whenever you install that package in your system, okay, whatever the code files that web server is having, whatever the service files that web server is having, everything by default load inside this USR directory. From the USR, once the service is loaded, then it will create the symbolic link to this etc directory. We'll discuss that tomorrow, what is symbolic link. Initially, all your application code files will be stored inside this USR. Application and the service files, everything, it's loaded inside this USR. After loaded, it will create this symbolic link to USR for etc. And where. This where directory will store all your system variable information. And also this where directory will store the log information of the system. But what is the difference? In the run also it is storing the logs, here where also it is storing the logs. The difference is the logs which is collecting inside the where log, those all logs are the persistent logs. Okay. So user can easily read that logs and user can view that logs anytime user want. But when it comes to the run, user cannot see the logs with the normal commands like cat or anything. But in the where logs, you can see that logs with your cat command or less command, more command, any command. Okay. So the same directories, sorry, in the user the same directories bin, local, and as bin temp will be stored the same. And see in the inside this where also you have the temp directory. Let's see the difference between that. Come here. What is the first one? Slash boot. Files to start the boot process. To start your system booting process, we require files. Dev. Special device files that the system uses to access the hardware. Your system wants to access the hardware, right? At CT. System specific configuration files. Okay. Slash home. Home directory where regular users store their data and configuration files. Slash root. Home directory for the administrative super user, that is root. Run directory. Runtime data for process that starts since the last boot. You store the runtime data of the process. This data includes process ID files and log files. The content of this directory are recreated on the reboot. The directory consolidates the where run and verilog directories from earlier version of the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Temp. A world retainable space for the temporary files. Files that are not accessed are changed or modified for the 10 days are deleted from this directory automatically. You created a file under the slash temp. You created one file, but up to 10 days, even you are not modified that file, okay, even you touch that file, then automatically that file is removed from this slash temp. The where temp directory is also the temporary directory. In the where temp also you have the in where also you have the temp directory. This one inside this where. So in the where temp, whatever the files and directories you are storing, the maximum lifetime is 30 days. After the 30 days, automatically it will remove. For not modified, then only it will remove. And USR, installed software shared libraries for your application libraries, installing the software, including files and read-only program data. Okay. Also, it will store the USR bin user commands. USR has been system commands, system administrative commands, USR local customized software. Okay, and where system specific variable data should be persistent between the boots. Files that dynamically change, such as database, cache directories, log files, printers, documents, website, it might be. So all the information it will store the mainly it will store the logs and other variable information that we'll see. See, just try to understand this important instructions in RHEL 7 and later. Four older directories in the slash have identical content to their counterparts in the slash USR. That is bin and USR bin. Individually, you can see these directories. These four directories. Individually, you can see these directories. And also, you can see the four directories inside the USR, USR, right? So earlier version of the Red Hat Enterprise Linux had listed the directories with the different sets of the files. In version 7 and the later, the directory slash r symbolically links to the matching directory in the sorry. This topic we'll discuss tomorrow. See, in your system, we have different types of the files. As of now, we only seen one type of file, right? That is started with the hyphen. That is a normal file. Let's go with the slash dev. Just trigger the ls space hyphen l. Inside this dev, here you can able to see different types of the files. See here the file is starting with the C. If the any file is starting with the C, it is a character file. Okay, it is a characteristic file. And also, if any file is started with the L, that is a link file. Let me write this. So the file started with the D is a directory. The file started with the hyphen, it is a normal file, regular file you can say, regular file. The any file started with the B, it is a block device file. Block device in a sense, your hardware. your disk information, your partition information also. If any file is starting with the L, it is a link file. There have a concept called soft link and the hard link. Tomorrow we'll go through that. So if any file is started with the C, it is a character file. Character file. Okay. See, by default, you are seeing the white color representation for the regular files, right? Let's say black device file, the color representation is yellow. This character file also, the color representation is yellow. But when it comes to the link file, the color representation is sky blue for easily identification. Okay. And also in the regular files, you have two different type of files. One is normal file. You have only the content, and another one is the zip files. In your Windows, you have the zip files, right? The same way here we have the zip file that we can call as archive files. Archive files. So the archive file, the color representation is red color. Sorry, red color. So for the directories, by default color representation is blue, only blue. Okay. These are the different types of files we have in your system. By moving forward, we can see another files also. As of now, just remember these files. The file which is started with the D, that is a directory. The file which is started with the hyphen, that is a single normal file. Okay, single normal file. The file is started with the hyphen. If the file is started with the hyphen, we have only one regular file. No, we have the different types of the regular file. Whether it is the archive file or the single file. Based on the color representation, you should identify that. And the file is started with the B, it is a block device file. What is the block device file? Your system hard disk, not hardware, hard disk. The file is started with the L, that is link file. How you can identify that? Sky blue. Sorry. The file is started with the C, that is a character file. So you can see these all files inside your dev directory. See, all your terminal information will be stored inside this dev directory. If you type the TTY, what is the current terminal I am using? Terminal number 0. It is the first terminal. Okay. Where this terminal is stored? Inside this dev. Clear about this?